What is going on, everybody? This is the Invest to Thrive podcast, the painless flipping podcast. That's what we call it. And today I'm stoked because I got one of my favorite guests. He doesn't know it, but I really respect you, man. I've seen you at the mastermind, the family. I think you had your daughter go out and talk about the family motto. Is that what happened?
That's exactly right. That's a great memory, Nate.
It was amazing. I was like, dude, when I have kids, I just had my first daughter 7 weeks ago, bro.
And, congratulations. Yeah. You are going to be a blessed individual.
I'm so happy. But yeah, when I saw that, I just reminded me, like, man, I got to make sure my family, they got that motto, they got that mission, they know where they're going, why they're here. Love it. So, Cody, what's going on? Give me an idea. Let the audience know, for people that don't know you, who's Cody Hofhine in 30 seconds.
Oh, man, in 30 seconds. So stop me if I get long-winded. Okay. I'm married for this year will be 19 years in December. We have 4 beautiful children, me and Wendy. We have 4 beautiful children, 15-year-old boy named Bentley. I figured that was the only way to own a Bentley. 13-year-old girl, Kenley, who you're referring to, that spoke at the family mastermind.
Amazing, dude.
10-year-old boy. She did awesome, right?
Crushed it.
Then I have my 10-year-old boy, Hayden, and a 6-year-old girl named Harper. And so I'm a person that puts God and family first. And I believe when you take care of home base and rely on some power that's outside of yourself, business kind of takes care of itself. And so hopefully that gives a little bit of enough background on who I am. And it's not because I'm smart, but probably because I put the most important things high in priority in my life. And because of that, business kind of just works.
I love it. I love it. So for everybody that's new to the Investor Thrive Nation and has never listened to the Painless Flipping podcast, our goal is to show you that getting into real estate can be painless, right, Nathan? Painless if you surround yourself with the right people. So our goal is to show you, where we started, our first deals, how we got started. We're going to talk to Cody about his first deal and where he's at right now. Just so if you're coming into this and you're kind of questioning, hey, does this work or can I do it? Anybody can do it, and we're going to show you guys how Cody got started. But before we get started into your story, I want to ask you, putting God first, extremely important for you. Has it always been has it always worked out for you? Or has it taken time? You've had to have that faith and you've had to just keep going, or has it always clicked on your journey?
That's a great question. I do believe that pain, struggle, trials, in fact, 2 years today, I might choke up just a little. 2 years to the day, Nathan, my mom passed away of cancer. Sorry. And so no, there's heartbreak, there's troubles, there's struggles, there's trials, there's challenges. However, I'd be a fool to also not say on the other side of that struggle, trial, and challenge, specifically losing my mom 2 years ago to cancer, a better version of Cody was revealed. And I was able to use those moments of struggle to become someone better. Right. So no, faith doesn't mean life's going to be perfect. And faith does not mean that just because you believe in God, for me, God, whether it's universe or whatever your higher source is, for me, it's God. Doesn't mean that life is going to be perfect. It's going to be unicorns and rainbows. That's far from the truth. However, I can see the big picture, hindsight, every single time. So maybe in the moment it's rough, Nathan. Mm-hmm. But as I look back, I can see how if you allow it, you can be a victim. Right. But if you can really see that life is happening for you and it's not happening to you, there really is a grand design and plan, and life is perfectly happening for us, even in our struggles.
Amazing answer, and I appreciate you saying that. And the reason I bring that up is just because I do know a lot of people throughout their journey, they feel like they are following God or they're doing what's right, but they're not seeing the success that others maybe aren't doing what's right, and they question, hey, does it even work, right? So because right now where you're at right now, you're crushing it, and there's other people that you probably are crushing it like financially that aren't doing it. So I always bring that question in, like, how does that help those that maybe are struggling at this point and they're like, am I doing what's right? Right.
Yeah.
So cool, man. Thank you for that. And so let's dive into that first deal of yours, because I am interested in, for all the people, I know we're just like a different tone because usually the first deal is kind of crazy situation, at least it was for me. So let's dive in and find out how you got that first deal. Walk us through it so people can learn from that experience.
Yeah. Let me give like a precursor to that. I got into real estate, or the chance to try real estate, because life wasn't working great for me. I was still struggling to make ends meet as an insurance agent. So I came home early from work and my wife was crying at the table, wondering, do we put food on the table tonight, Cody, or do we pay the mortgage that's due? And that was a challenge for me as a dad, as a husband, thinking, man, my sole job is to provide for his family, and I may not be doing the best right now. And it wasn't lack of working. I want to make sure I'm crystal clear. It was not me sitting at home being a dud. Yeah. I was working hard, but the months just didn't add up, right? Or the money at the end of the month.
You had kids at that point?
What's that?
You had kids at that point?
Yeah, at that point I had 3 kids.
Wow, so, even tougher situation, right? Like, because you
absolutely.
had them as well. Okay, got it.
Absolutely. So again, life happening for me. So if you can look at it that way, 3 days later, I go to a local real estate investor association meeting. And I used to go there as an insurance agent to insure investors. That was the whole point. I'd been going for 5 years and I didn't care to listen about wholesaling or fix and flip or any of these things. I didn't care because I was like, oh, that guy has 6 rentals. Let's go meet them so I can insure all 6 rentals. Yes. And finally, I went with a new set of ears after seeing my wife cry that night. And I didn't like seeing that. And I hear this individual that we both know, a local guy that does pretty well. And he talked about how he just did a deal that he found 3 days prior, already assigned it, made $29,000. And I'm like, whoa, what is this? And so that's what got me into it. So that's the precursor. Right after that week, I literally was like, if he can do it, I can do it. And I hope that's the message I can share with every one of your guests today. If Cody Hofhine can do it, anyone can do it. Don't judge or don't compare though your story with my story, because comparison is the thief of all joy. And don't compare your story with Nathan, and don't compare your beginning with Nathan's middle or with Cody's middle. They're not gonna add up. It's an apple and an orange. So just compare yourself with you and how do you get better every day. And I hope this is my message. For me, that week I got into it. And back then, you could send out $1,000 worth of direct mail and actually get a deal. Pretty tough to do that. So I want to be crystal clear on that too. Times have shifted. But you can also have other ways of not having. You can have a shoestring budget and still get deals today. Mm-hmm. I sent out some mail, and I sent it to a tax delinquent list. And I get on a phone call with an individual. And I end up getting a deal, and we had a local guy that a local investor that I said, hey, if you can show me the ropes and show me how to do some of these things, I'll even split the first deal with you. So there's another part that I also want to bring up is, Nathan, I consider you someone that is an authority. I know we're in the same market, and I'm not here to steal any thunder from this podcast. I'm here to say you're doing so good with people and helping them and serving them that if I was listening to this podcast, I would find the local authority like Nathan, and I would say, hey, I really don't know what I'm doing, but if I find a deal, can I partner with you? Because you still get paid, right? I'd rather have 10% of a watermelon than 100% of a grape. Exactly. Like at the end of the day, I'm partnering with the authority. So I'd find Nathan and I would say, hey, I think I got a deal. Can you help me through it? That's what I did, Nathan. I got with an investor, a wholesome individual that I just like, love, trust, respect, and he walked me through it. The deal ended up being a $48,000 deal, and we split it 50-50. We both made $24,000, and I will never, ever look back. I will always remember that. Not every deal's that big, so it kind of ruined me for my first deal. Yes. But it was amazing. It was absolutely incredible, and that was the point where it turned from faith to fact.
Yes. Wow, amazing. So that experience so tell me how that works. Like, you go back with the check and you say, hey babe, I'm quitting the insurance. What happened after that?
Yeah. After that, it was like for the next 4 months, let's call it, it was double down. So that first deal, I was so sure in myself because I saw people that could do it. And I don't lack confidence. I don't lack drive. I don't lack those things. And so I'm like, well, if this guy can do it, I can do it. I don't suggest this for everyone. I actually got a credit card with 0% interest, and I was putting marketing on a 0% interest credit card to get things going. Yes. Because I had no money. I was broke. We didn't even have money to put food on the table.
I think a lot of people do that, by the way.
Yeah. I just want to be clear that maybe that's not the smartest thing, but hey, that's what I did. Mm-hmm. I went to the casino of life and I went all in on Cody Hofhine. And it's been the greatest thing I've ever done was invest in me and no longer corporate America. So within 4 months, I had already lined up to sell my book of business in insurance, and it was full time from there. And so that's kind of taking you down the road of where I started.
And I love reliving those moments. Isn't it fun sometimes to go back through those memories?
It's absolutely amazing. I'll never forget it because of the gratitude, right? That was a
Yeah.
big shift in my life. That was a big change in my life. So I don't share those stories with arrogance or pride. It's far from it. I share it out of gratitude. Again, going back to my maker, God, that he saw it fit for me to go down this path.
I love it, man. And I appreciate the gratitude that you share because I think everyone can feel it. Because, yeah, I don't think there's any resemblance of like, hey, I'm the man, right? Or like, right. You're
You'll
definitely.
never see a post of any car. In fact, you'll laugh if you saw the car I drive. And you won't see post about what my house looks like. That doesn't do anything for me. It just
No,
feeds the wrong side of people.
no, agreed. And it's kind of funny the way social media is now. It's the more, I see a lot of these young guys that maybe have done their first deal and they're sitting by a Lambo. Maybe they got on Turo. I don't know how they did it, but they're like wholesaled to my first car, and then they got millions of likes on TikTok. And it's like, dude, that's not how this. That's just not how it is when you first get started. Like I don't know.
Crash and burn, ready to take place.
For sure. So, okay, so that's how you got started. Obviously, the whole journey, it's been ups and downs. Obviously, like you're trying to figure it out. I'm sure it's been great. So tell us where you at right now. What's going on in your life? Because I know you got that Joe Homebuyer sign behind you.
So you would laugh. I literally was with Jerry Norton, who is a famous name in the YouTube space and coaching space. I was just on a phone call with him, and I take my computer with me, the camera, and I go to my team and I said, "Hey team, how long am I in the office working with you?" And the exact response from my operation manager is like, negative. And I kind of sat there. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, am I in the way? What does that even mean? But I would say now it's to the point where, because me and Mark, my business partner, so this is not a solo operation. Mark is a phenomenal business partner and a phenomenal business owner. The guy gets things that I don't get, and I get things that he doesn't get. We just really jam together. We saw through our struggles that when we were hiring like people that it just didn't work out, we finally realized why. It wasn't the people. It was the leaders. It was me and Mark. We had to look in the mirror and realize we weren't being the best leaders ourselves. So we took personal development serious. And Jim Rohn, this quote will resonate instantly: rarely does a man's income exceed their level of personal development. So if we can just become better individuals each and every day, the byproduct is money chases you versus you chasing it. And so me and Mark really grabbed onto that quote and said, let's go full steam on this. And we started developing ourselves. And in doing so, we attracted A talent. The A talent has allowed us to grow a business where my team says I spend negative time with them. It's probably 2 to 5 hours a week that I spend with my team. Mark, the same exact thing, because our bigger focus is Joe Homebuyer. It's a franchise system, so we teach people how to do it. We have about 80, just north of 80 franchise owners throughout the nation. How long have
you had it for, by the way, in operation?
What's that?
How long has it been in operation for, by the way?
2019 is like when we started like talking about it. 2020, like end of 2020 is when we started selling our first franchise.
Can you believe that? 3 years and you got 80 franchises. That's incredible.
And it's partnering with great people like yourself. I'm not saying you're a Joe, but I'm just saying we really protect culture. So for those that are listening to this podcast, you're listening to because you're attracted to Nathan. And Nathan is very much a cultural fit of what we're looking for. And so that's the reason why it's been such a big, I should say, we're not looking for the 255,000 like franchise locations. We're looking to just partner with the greatest people that culturally fit, because that's 60% of what we look for and actually value. The skill set and the business like leadership is 40%, and we can teach that. But what I can't teach is a dishonest person to be honest. I can't teach a thief to be not a thief. I can't teach someone that's rude to be kind. That just comes from internal. So we have a value system that we really has really made this grow in a way that's very, very powerful, because it's great people like you, Nathan.
I appreciate that, and I love that. And I don't know much about Joe Homebuyer. I am in Utah, and I get some of the deals sent out. So I think this is awesome, not only for people who are listening, but for me. I really have a lot of questions about it. So is it cool if I like dive in, like almost if you're trying to sell me a franchise? I'm
sure. Ask whatever you want, and I'm an open book, my friend.
Okay. Well, so I told you a little bit before this podcast. I had a wholesaling company. I had multiple, virtual assistants. I was cold calling. I was doing all this, and I built my company up. We were on track during the year of the pandemic, like to do a little over $1 million. But then obviously interest rates went up, and we had some issues with some flips, like didn't sell for they wanted. Anyway, my business partner, me, he was like, dude, this sucks. I'm out of here. And for me, I was like, hey, I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to kind of pivot the model for right now. And I told you what I do right now is I'm back on that, doing, I guess, solopreneur. Where I'm at, and I'm teaching people how to do that because a lot of people start there. So not that I'm not a fan of the, marketing and growing the business, but I do feel like the bottom line for a lot of people that aren't good at running marketing, that aren't good at sales, the profit margins, at least when I was doing it, weren't as much as you want them to be, because if you don't run a tight ship, the leadership portion of the business, it's difficult to be profitable, not be profitable, but have as much profit as people want in a business like this. So my question for you is, what does Joe Homebuyer do to help those people be more profitable and not just make checks and then obviously have tons of expenses and not be as profitable as they want?
I'd love to say it's because we just know how to market to only the people that want to sell, and they're going to sign a contract the first time they talk to you. That's far from the truth.
Yes.
The reality is this: at the end of the day, a real estate business is built on two things. And if you can just think of these two things, and this is the most crucial thing that people don't focus on. Yes, it's going to be profitable. You can make money, but it comes with marketing. You have to have a lot of leads come in.
Yep.
And then you've got to be fantastic at managing those leads. So this really is a marketing and a sales business. And most people, if they don't understand that, maybe they don't know what they're signing up for. Right. And if a lead comes in and you're waiting more than an hour, or for some people that I've heard, like, it's been 3 days and I still got to get back to this lead, I'm like, it's too late. Sorry. Like it's gone. And so you can pay for leads like you alluded to, and it do nothing, and there could be a zero profit. So it's not that we have a marketing arm that also we're like, oh no, it's because we got a marketing channel, it's going to 10x your marketing. No,
everyone's searching for, right? But it doesn't.
Yeah, we're just really good at marketing, but we're even better at what do we do when those leads come in, and we have a system, a process, SOPs lined up step by step. When a lead comes in, this is what you do all the way through the end to where you take it to a title company and close on it.
Got it. Okay, so it's the system behind the leads coming in.
That's correct.
Anyone can get leads, right? But if you're not following the Joe Homebuyer system, you're saying that's probably where you're saying a lot of people fail.
Yeah, well, it's just mismanaged leads. I'd say mismanaged leads, right? You can get leads, but if you don't manage them, it's not going to turn into anything. And I think if you chase the deal, it's very hard to get the deal. If you can change your mindset early in the game and just right out the gate, even though like you're like, no, I need this deal. I need to make next month's rent like I did, next month's mortgage payment. Sales world, they call it commission breath. You can't have that. This should really be out of serving people. For example, if your parents came to you and said, me and your dad are getting divorced, you'd never say, okay, mom and dad, how many beds and baths does your home have so I can sell it for you? You would never say that. You'd be like, mom, dad, I had no clue you're getting divorced.
Some days would, right?
Right. You'd be so sympathetic. You'd be there to help them, serve them, cry with them, mourn with them. You'd be there to serve them and help them. Why is that any different when it's not your family? If you can get to that same quality of connecting with sellers that are going through those real-time struggles of divorce, losing a job, moving quickly, foreclosure, bankruptcy, these are real-time struggles. If you're making it about the deal, we're missing the picture. Right. It's how do I serve this individual, really understand their struggle, and then really get dialed in on a solution that serves them to get to a better place. You do that, and you'll throw your competition in the garbage.
So how do you implement that culture in people? Because that's obviously a culture, that's a mindset thing, like looking. So how are you able to take, for example, me or someone that joins Joe Homebuyer and be like, hey, you got to switch the way you see these people and see, like, you got to serve it. How does that work?
It would be front end understanding what your value system is. So I wouldn't have anyone become a Joe unless I saw that they culturally fit first. So how I would do that, Nathan, is I would go through just a simple interview with our franchises, the people that are wanting to become one. I'd be like this. So Nathan, let's do a mock-up for like 30 seconds. Nathan, all I want is names. You don't have to share stories, but name 3 people that you admire, look up to, and that inspire you. What are the 3 names that come to your mind?
Christ, Christ, God.
Oh, let me put a caveat to that. You have to know them and they have to know you, like, personally.
So great. Okay. My wife, my father, and my mother. I love all them, and I think those are
perfect. Give me 3 characteristics about your wife. So not the story, but 3 characteristics about your wife that inspires you or motivates you to become someone better.
She's a leader, she's patient, and she's direct.
I love that. What about your dad? 3 characteristics.
Caring, loving, and present.
Okay. What about your mom?
So I would say the same thing, but probably different. You want some different?
No, that's great. So here's the thing, Nathan. Like attracts like. So you name those 3 people because you yourself either have those qualities yourself or you're smart enough to work on yourself because you want those qualities. And either way, now I got to look at my internal system. Me and Mark came up with our values of honest, hunger. Hunger is kind of like that drive, right? I can't teach that. It's got to be internal. Right. Humble, which is teachable, and heart for others. So now I look at my 4 H's, right? Honest, hunger, heart for others, and humble. And now I look at what you just said and I see, okay, you said loving, kind, present. Like you're saying all these words and I'm like, okay, culturally, I know he fits. Right. Now let's see if like the leadership and all that stuff is going to be a fit too. So that's how we're able to bring in the right people. Like, how do we teach that? You don't have to really teach it. Look who you are when you said that. That to me puts a smile on my face. And I'm like, Nathan, welcome aboard. Welcome to the Joe family, because you match me and Mark's value system that we built when we put together for Joe. Most people don't know their values. Why do you win? Take a minute after the podcast and say, okay, I win, but why do you win? And come up with your values. That's how you interview people to know if you're even hiring the right person to be on your team.
That's a solid point. Do you find, this is kind of getting a little deep, but do you find that religious people share your values more than non-religious, or do you not see like a correlation?
Not necessarily. I know a lot of people that aren't religious that are very kind, like very humble, very honest, have a big heart for others, and have a lot of drive. They're hungry, right? So not necessarily. In Utah, it seems like that's kind of a big, let's say, culture here shift is religion's big here, right? So exactly. It may be if I got myopic on it and said, yeah, there's a lot of people in our office that we all go to the same church, but that's not the quality or the qualifier, the kicker. But outside of us, no, I'd say 9 out of 10 of our franchise owners are not even A, of the same faith, and B, there's quite a few that may not even be religious. But yeah, I think there is a tie to that, right? Because when you have to have faith and reliance upon a higher source than yourself, the beautiful thing is that naturally kills ego. That naturally kills pride. And I would say the natural man, right, or the ego or the pride, it's our greatest enemy. That's what holds us back from becoming the best version of ourselves. So there is a tie that typically when you see people that are religious, that it's also typically, not always, but it's usually typically, there's also less ego, less pride, because they're relying on a greater power, which is a powerful thing.
Wow, that's everything you said is powerful. I love it. So people reach out to you if they're interested in scaling their businesses from where they're at right now to, do you tell them a specific, like, hey, this is where we can take you? Do you have a certain goal, or how's that?
Unfortunately, no. With being a franchise, there's very little we can share numbers wise, and we can't promise anything. So we're directly guided by the FDD and regulated by the FDD. So all we can do is basically say, hey, do you want to talk to some of our franchise owners? And they can have conversations. The franchise owners can share everything, like their whole experience about Joe Homebuyer. But yeah, and I'd say more important than just the business, you can make money easy in real estate. And I say that with gratitude. I don't say that with like, oh man, I'm so good, I made it easy. That's not the case. But what we're big on at Joe Homebuyer is, how do we turn this from just being a high paying job to an actual business? And very few get to that point. I'd say 80% of wholesalers, investors, they stay in that 0 to $250,000 mark and never ever get past that. And the reason being is they wear all the hats and they feel like they can't delegate, or maybe they don't know how to delegate, or they don't think someone can do it as good as them, or maybe there's fear about spending more than X amount of dollars a month in marketing. But if you want to get bigger, you have to spend more money. And so really, Joe Homebuyer is about, okay, how do we quit helping this? How do we help this investor not burn candles at both ends of the stick by wearing all the hats, and actually turn this individual into a leader, a business owner that then brings a team on so that he can or she can inevitably grow to however high you want to go. For some people want to go to $1 million. For some people, they're like, I want to go to 5 million. We will help you in that journey. But where you go is ultimately up to who's driving the car.
Love it. So these are two of the issues that I had building a wholesaling business and scaling it up to that point. And I want to ask your opinion on these. So when I was in Utah, I started out wholesaling and I got up to that $250,000, right? $500,000. And then we heard shiny penny, right? We heard nationwide, go nationwide. You can turn on nationwide pay-per-click and you can do deals. It's easier. And we were in Utah at the time, I guess the mindset was like, oh, if it's easier, maybe we'll do more money. So we went and did nationwide and it was a struggle. We figured it out. But the issue, I say the Achilles heel and nationwide, is the relationships, like you dispelling deals. Like, yes, you can find stuff, but does not mean anybody wants it in that area. So have you heard that? And what was your thoughts on? There's market.
Yeah, there's another side to that sword. So you said it, you bring up a good point, right? Is you get some shiny object syndrome, SOS, right? Shiny object syndrome. But the other side to that coin is actually the bigger problem is we spread ourselves too thin, and now we're trying to work in multiple markets, and we think, oh, I got Utah under control. The issue is we've got a goose right here laying golden eggs. Me and Mark did this, by the way, so I'm sharing this by personal experience. We had a goose laying golden eggs here in Utah, and we got the same bug like you did. So we went to Indiana. So we started doing deals. We bought two homes for $2,500, not a piece, $2,500 for 2 homes. Yeah. We couldn't assign it for more than $1,000 more than that. And meanwhile, we started losing momentum over here in Utah because now we're like putting some focus over here. And now the goose isn't getting fed like it was used to be fed. And now the goose, for 2 months, we put up a goose egg, meaning we put up $0 in revenue because we weren't feeding the goose that was laying the golden eggs. Right. Sometimes when we look for other golden geese to lay eggs, we lose focus of the one that already has momentum. So no, it's for most people, it won't be smart until you figure out how to put a system, a team in this place, and that it's running with or without you before you can go out to another area. And most people go too soon, and then their original business flops.
Okay, got it. Nailed it. So a theme I've been hearing for the last forever, but the last couple of weeks has been hitting me is focus, right? Like the one thing. So it's almost like that. It's like, hey, it can work, but you have to have your systems dialed in that you can expand. And a lot of people, unfortunately, don't have that when they try it, right?
That's correct.
So that's the one issue that I had or thing that I faced. Number 2 is hiring the right talent. Now, when you hire the right talent, the thing that I always knew is like, hey, I'm trying to get people. I was hiring people on commission based, and that my mentality was like that type of talent, I'd have to find there's just people that are willing to not take, a set salary. They're different. They attract different people if someone's just willing to take pure commission. That was my mindset. So maybe I brought in people, not the highest talent. No offense to anybody that works for me, but in the past, that's what I would like to know about you. In your system, do you teach like a pay structure that helps bring on the high talent, or do you like, hey, Nate, you know what you're talking about? You can be commission only.
Yeah, so there's 2 sides to that. Again, going back to, we hired some bad people too. So no offense to the people that work for me either. We've hired some bad people, but to help them out and to help them realize that it was because me and Mark weren't great ourselves. And so I always want to be crystal clear that when you hire bad people, usually it's just a mirror of who you are. And most times we don't want to face the truth and look in the mirror. And that's where me and Mark have learned to always look first, is look in the mirror and say, did I really give this person an opportunity to win? Was I crystal clear with the vision and their opportunities, like their tasks, the things, their responsibilities that they had to do? Were they capable of that? So that's the leadership side. That's probably, I would say that's actually 70% of it is usually falls on us and not the person we're hiring.
Agreed. Yes, agreed.
And then the other one is, yes, pay structure. I would say 80% of our franchisees, including ourselves, give some kind of a draw against their commission. So if their commission, let's just throw out a number for easy number, 10% commission of the assignment fee. But you give them a draw of $3,000. And let's say they do 60 grand in 1 month in assignments. Well, you've already paid them 3,000 in that draw, so you only owe them $3,000 more. So it's a draw that works against the commission. That's probably the more normal that I see out there, and it seems to work really, really well within our franchise system and outside of our franchise system. I teach that quite a bit whenever I'm on people's podcast. Is there's a way to do it and not have to pay a base plus commission. It's here's a base that draws against your commission.
And you found that works pretty well to get the right talent.
Yeah, but then you have like some owners that are just like beginning to scale, and that fear can hold them back. Like, oh, but what if they don't bring the money back? Well, don't look at it as 3,000 times 12, which is $36,000 a year. Don't look at it like that. Right. Look at it like this is an investment. Never look like it as a cost. Human beings are not a cost. Human beings are an investment. And so if we can already start to say, yeah, I'm going to make some bad investments, I'm going to make some good investments. We do it all the time in the stock market or real estate even.
Right.
Make an investment. But you only need 90 days to see if that person's going to work out. So really you have to have the mindset, I'm investing 9 grand today to see if this is going to work out. But because of all these processes and systems that double check and cross check that I have a high priority that this actually is going to work through Joe Homebuyer, you're betting on your bet is like a higher return, 80, 90, 100% return on that money. So if you can also think in small margins, I'm not investing 36,000. No, you're not. You're investing 9,000 because after 90 days, if it doesn't work out, I'm also cutting them loose.
Okay. Love it. So you got a runway, you let them know what with their time and what they need to do.
Yeah. And set up the guidelines. Here's what has to happen in 90 days. If not, we've got to sit down. Do you feel like you can do this? Oh yeah, I'm ready to go. And some people are like, I don't know. I don't know if you're ready for my team then.
Yeah. And I'm assuming you have like a certain amount of leads where you're like, hey, you actually can upgrade to another acquisition guy when you are producing this amount of leads for them, right? I'm assuming you don't tell people just hire an acquisition guy and him sit on his hands or.
No. So they also have to find their own leads. But then, yeah, we love competition. We have multiple acquisition managers here in just Utah. Okay. And competition is a good thing. It's a healthy thing. So I never hire just one acquisition manager. We always hire many.
Perfect. Okay. Awesome. Competition is good. Well, hey, I've learned a ton. And for anybody that's interested in getting Joe Homebuyer, having this conversation with you, I'm assuming you or one of your teammates has interviews with people. How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah. So you can look at joehomebuyerfranchising.com and book a call with our team. Glad to do that. Also, you can reach out to me just on Instagram, Cody Hofhine. Look for the one with the blue check mark because there are plenty of people copying who I am, and I'm not that person. They'll get you involved in crypto, and I know nothing about crypto. So yeah, Cody Hofhine. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram is probably the two social media channels I respond to people the most. The other ones, although I have like a TikTok and like a Twitter, I've never logged in. I have people run those accounts for me, so I have no clue who's talking to me in those places.
I love it. Well, let me end off with a question, another one I would have, and then we'll end it. I know there are a couple people that own Joe Homebuyer franchises. Is there like a sweet spot where you see a team? Is it like a smaller team? Is it a large team? Do you see like what you're seeing that's a lot of success in the Joe Homebuyer franchises? Is it a certain amount of
that's a
size of a business?
This may be unwowing, an underwhelming answer I'm going to give you. It depends on the owner. So some people are fine with, we have an individual in Arizona that is a small group of, he has like a VA and a dispo manager, and he's probably in his 60s, and he's fine with doing 1 to 2 deals a month, and he doesn't want to scale it any bigger. But that's awesome because he knows what he wants, and we helped him get there. And then you have individuals like we have one here local with us that his biggest goal was, hey, how do I take you and Mark out with your own system? And so his goal is to do, how do I do 10, 15, 20 deals a month? And so it just depends on what you want. So I'd say first and foremost, get very clear on what you want, and don't do it because other people are doing, but what is it? What are your needs? What is your why? What do you need to accomplish in life? And then map out a simple plan to attack that day by day, 1% better each and every day, those marginal gains. So there's no real sweet spot. This is the underwhelming part. It's just, what do you want? And then we map out a blueprint to accomplish it.
Wow. Powerful podcast we had. We got a user on Facebook that's watching live, says awesome insights. Congrats. I love it. People are engaging. That's what we like to see. So Cody, I would love to have you one of my events. We'll talk about that later.
Yeah.
And, awesome having you on here, man. I actually kept you a little longer than I said I would. I usually take these podcasts a little shorter, but I like to learn, so I went for it. Thank you
so much. Honor for being here.
Yep. All right, everybody. Talk to you later on the next one.